Hey, hi guys, I'm Jitendra Vaswani here. So we are here at SMXL Milan and I'm with the brand ambassador for Majestic SEO, one of the biggest SEO tools right now on the planet. So I have Dixon. So Dixon, can you share something about your role at Majestic, please?
Hi Jitendra. So I've been involved in Majestic for nearly 10 years, and it came from still a bedroom business until to now, where it's one of the well, it probably is the biggest link index tool in the world in terms of data. Our historic data goes back 5 years. There's two other players that are pretty strong with us as well, and we enjoy the competition. And we're really all fighting each other to get the strength of the link data.
How do you fight the competition there? Because you have a big competitor like Ahref, SEMrush. So how do you fight against the competition?
Well, they're not necessarily so much better, bigger or better. Our data actually feeds into SEMrush. So if you use SEMrush's link audit tool, then if you've got a Majestic account, you can add that data in, and it takes the data and improves it. And so it's not always that you're in competition with these guys. The difference is that those tools generally are all-in-one suites, so they do rank checking, they do keyword research, they do all sorts of other bits and pieces. Majestic is just the link piece, but it's the information that you can glean from the link piece. So one of the biggest mistakes that people make is that because Majestic is a link intelligence tool, that it's no use for other purposes than link building, and that's fundamentally wrong. What's very interesting, the most powerful bit of Majestic, is that for every page on the internet we have trust flow and citation flow metrics. Now those metrics in most of the other tools are based, not all, but most of the other tools are based around how many times a page has been seen on Google, or how much traffic goes to a page. It's not being built from the ground up on the link equity that page has. How powerful is that page in terms of authority through the link structure? And so, citation flow is a very good proxy for the original PageRank algorithm. But then trust flow is better than that, and then topical trust flow is better than that. And so you can go to any page on your website, or any page on YouTube, or any page on any site, and immediately see how powerful that page is, how influential that page is. And you can do that with 10,000 pages at a time, no problem.
Okay. For a new site, how you determine the TF and CF for a new site which have a very few backlinks?
Okay, so one of the best tools within our data set for doing that, so the trust flow, TF and CF is trust flow and citation flow. So one of the best things to do is to go and have a look at the top 10 competitors and use our Click Hunter tool. So you go to have, maybe you put your keyword into Google, maybe you find 10 people that are ranking for your favorite word, and it doesn't matter really if it's Amazon. It can still be, find those individual pages that are there, or the websites, but I like working with the pages, and you put those into our Click Hunter tool, and the Click Hunter tool will show you all the websites or web pages that are linking to several of your competitors and not yourself. Now those are the ones that are that are very interesting, because those are the ones that are influencing many people on that search result. So it means that it cuts your problem down, your initial problem, from where do I get a link to these are the links that are affecting these companies that are already ranking in this environment. You may need another couple of links to be able to get above that, but basically these are the ones, and this is where the power is. A friend of mine is a long time back, called Shaq. He ended up going and setting up working with Spotify. He, in the early days of search, back in 2002, I think, he said, I don't really get SEO. He said, my idea is that if I want to if I want to get ahead of everybody else who rank for cheap hotels, all I do is get the 10 people that have rankings for cheap hotels to link to me, and I'll win. And I thought, yeah, it's as simple as that. Really, the principle is as simple as that. So you need to be the best in your game, and one of the signals is if your competitors link to you, best in the game. And I link to Moz, I link to my competitors when that's appropriate to do so. They do well out of it, but if they continually don't link back, eventually that authority is either my fault or I should take the links away.
Okay, suppose if I get a high authority backlinks from sites like Forbes, Inc., Time magazines, so do you think that will have an influence on TF and CF?
You've picked on one of my favorite bugbears.
I know this question. Yeah.
So, link equity comes at the page level. It does not come at the domain level, and I get really.
It do come from the domain, because some SEO experts are saying that if you get a backlink from Forbes, you have a high weightage as compared to.
Some experts are wrong. So, a backlink from a homepage of Forbes is the best backlink in the world.
Yes, true.
A backlink from a page on Forbes.
Inner page.
Yeah, and so the inner page, it may have flow metrics and it may not. And of course, a lot of that is whether any of that link juice from the homepage, their internal link structure is very, very important to answer your question. It depends whether the internal links on Forbes are linking to that content. And if they aren't, you can still help by making sure you get links to your article. It still revolves around and will continue to evolve around the idea of, the new ideas of EAT, of expertise, authority and trust, even though that's being used in the quality guidelines, quality rater guidelines, not the algorithm, but it's being used to judge their own algorithms. If you're writing on Forbes and you're not an expert on what you're writing about, then probably it's not worth so much. It's not about getting the article on Forbes, it's about who reads that article and why, and whether there's authority behind that article. It's at the page level. It's always at the page level.
Okay. So what kind of changes we can expect from Google in terms of SEO? Because SEO is getting very hard day by day. In 2019, it will be getting more tough, right? So.
Well, EAT is an important thing for us as SEOs to take account of, because it means it's not just about where the article is, it's about who's written the article and the authority with which it's written. So I think we need to pay attention to that. I think the move for Google is to stop answering a question, and they're trying to work on the user journey. They've explicitly said, Google, the next 20 years, we're trying to understand the journey of the user and help that user along the journey. And we're already seeing, related searches or people that search for this, then search for that, sort of ideas coming in, so they're helping the user along that journey. The danger for SEOs, and it's not the danger, it's the thing that we need to look out for, is that our customers need to be the customers at the end of that journey. And that doesn't necessarily mean, and this is the hard bit for SEOs to get, that doesn't mean that the customer ever needs to go to the website necessarily. If you're buying a screen for an expo, you can do all of your research and you can still end up buying the screen, but you buy the screen off Amazon and you never actually go to the manufacturer's website. Now that's an interesting problem for an SEO, because we still have to understand the user journey as well. We still need to get paid by our clients. We still need to convince the clients that we're involved in that user journey. And I think SEOs are going to be having to understand the user's journey and understand how we can influence that without necessarily just getting clicks to the website.
Wow. So what is the number one SEO ranking factor will be there in 2019? What's the number one factor? Okay, if I get a backlink, if I do this, if I do on page, what will be the number one ranking factor?
Jitendra, you choose some of the nastiest questions. So let me bring it back to you, and I'm going to do this rhetorically, or play devil's advocate. In what case? Under what keyword?
Suppose the keyword is how to lose weight.
How to lose weight. So
it's a very competitive keyword. Right?
I think the most important factor will depend on the other sites that are ranking there for how to lose weight. I think it will depend on the brand that you are promoting. If the brand is new, then you have a challenge. You have a challenge because you need to find something that is you need to find an angle that is new, not a brand that's new. So the fact that you're a new brand is not as important as making sure that your new brand has a new USP. So I would say, I'm a businessman really at heart, you still need that marketing USP, and then you can break through. You found a small group of keywords or a small segment of the world that need this weight loss methodology compared to somebody else and so you need to find a narrow slice where you can win, where you can be number one on day one, and then slowly make that a bigger slice. So the number one factor is have a USP.
How are you? USP.
A unique selling point, a unique selling point, something that no one else can say they do, because that should get you to number one. Everything else is important, but you can then enlarge that unique selling point to a large audience.
Like a selling point to a large audience, right?
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yeah, I mean, I could sit there and say links. I could sit there and say content. I can sit there and say an influencer. I can sit there and say, what you need is Barack Obama to talk about it for you, and you'll be fine. But you know what? If Barack Obama decides to talk about, Rihanna, he's probably not an authority on Rihanna.
Of course, yeah.
So any factor is no one factor is important enough to answer your question.
Okay. Sometimes, see, Dixon, I have seen some news sites which, according to Moz or Ahref, have a very low DR, and still they are ranking on the top page of Google for keywords like best wireless headset, because I was trying to rank for these kind of keywords, but I have seen some fresh websites means have a very low domain authority according to Ahref, Moz, but still they are ranking on the number one. Means what kind of strategies they are using? Are they hiding the backlinks from Google?
So, job number one, domain authority doesn't exist. Page authority exists, so it's done at the page level, and so that's number one. So I go back to this. Otherwise you just put an article about weight loss on Forbes, and it should be number one, right?
Of course, yeah.
So what's the point in putting content on Forbes for your website if you're saying that Forbes can be the authority? So it's not the authority on weight loss. So there are many reasons why you'll find a new site in the rankings. So Google has recently said that they're going to be trying to renew their promise that fresh content gets a boost, but then that won't necessarily last very long. The link information is interesting because there are two really good reasons why a page that doesn't appear to have links in any of the tools.
Are they hiding it?
No, there's two different things. There's the first is that they may be hiding it, that they may put it behind a private PBN, private backlink network.
Private blog network.
And then that private backlink network is all blocking all of our bots, not Google's bot, and is blocking those bots. And then maybe it's sending all that information to another website that is 301ing through, so it's kind of going through that sort of back door, so you don't see the links in. But the more likely or the less black hat answer is that people do not understand the internal link structure is just as important as the external link structure, and the tools don't always report on the internal link structure very well. Some of them do, and we do a little bit, but only recently. And so you can, of course, have a page which has no external links going into that page, but there's other pages on the website, or there are other pages on that do have lots of links going in them. And those are the ones that are creating the link power, and then that is coming through to the individual page because they're linking to that individual page. But on top of that, links are not the only factor in search. They're not the only factor. They're one factor. And John Muller will sit there and we'll have a long conversation. And the more I talk about things, the more he'll get frustrated because it's only one factor in the search algorithm. If all the other factors still matter. The thing is that the reason that links is very interesting is because it's the one that's quite hard to manipulate.
Of course, people are doing it right
now. But it doesn't mean to say that you can't rank just with content. You can, but it is hard to rank without any links at all, I think. But it's certainly not impossible.
Okay, that's true. Do you think that in 2019 we can expect more updates from Google in terms of SEO? Means what kind of changes you are expecting from Google that, hey, this is the main factor that we need right now?
If you look on the boards, Webmaster World or wherever you go for your SEO kick.
I love Search Engine Roundtable by Rusty Brick.
Barry Schwartz. I love Barry Schwartz, and he's great because he'll pull out any story of the day and put it out there, and it's
very nice blog.
But there is a mentality in the SEO world that we're chasing the latest update, and we'll suddenly talk about. I've had someone over here will say my rankings have suddenly changed today. So what's happening? And they're looking with one site, maybe 3 sites, maybe their customers have 5 sites, all in the health sector. So it may be just something that's happened in the health sector, or it may be something that's just happened on their CMS platform or whatever. And then everybody else over there goes, yeah, my updates change as well. The truth is that there's a very good article on CNN in the last month or two about. I think this article really appeared after the claims that Trump was claiming that Google is fixing the search engine results out on Twitter and other people, and so I think for that reason alone, a CNN reporter was in at one of the Google's rater testing sessions. And so they were sitting there and watching how the Google team were validating an A/B test, really. And what they were doing was just letting the math decide. But the interesting thing about that article that came out for me is that we're panicking about Penguin update or whatever update we happen to do, or updates without names or whatever. The truth of the matter is, they're A/B testing and implementing 7 changes a day. Last year, 7 changes a day. So when we get panicky about an individual update, some of them may be very, very small. Some of them may be turning a background mobile box from a green background to a blue background, and that may affect, you may think that will affect nobody. But you know what, if you're colorblind, that could be a really big thing. I don't know. But if they're doing that number of level of tests a day, then of course we're going to all be, as SEOs, panicking for the update and the one that affects us. That's a real problem for us as spiritually, because it means that our job, in the first days of working with any website, we can get great strides, and our client loves us, because we can suddenly make the system, get better. In month 2, they expect the same, and the problem is you've done the easy stuff, and all you're doing now, largely, is waiting for the full, and that's the worst bit about being an SEO, is that SEO is only 10% about doing things that are great, and 90% about waiting for the full. Figure that out and you'll have a more comfortable life.
Okay, one last question. Do you think that SEO experts or specialists should move to PPC right now, because depending on SEO for your business is too risky?
Well, I haven't. I try to avoid PPC most of the time. However, I think that the information that you can get out of PPC can really drive SEO, and I think Will Reynolds, you interviewed Will Reynolds earlier, I think he brought that home really powerfully. You can argue that PPC you have to do for business reasons, but taking the information that PPC can give you is massive, and it can really inform your SEO strategy. So doing SEO without PPC is entirely possible. However, PPC can inform it, and Google has tried to make it very hard for SEOs to have full access to the ad manager data and stuff, and it's sort of not in most of the heavy SEO tools now, because they've said they've been using it against them. It doesn't mean to say that it's not valuable data. That's the reason that they took it away, is because they want you to spend money at Google.
Of course.
But yeah, if the PPC is going to be a positive ROI, then fine. The truth of that is that we don't. It's not just about money resources. We've all got money limitations, but it's also about the time limitations. You know, there's only so many people in your organization that can understand this stuff, and also there's too much for any one person to understand it all. So it's a case of managing your resources, and probably the better thing for listeners or for your viewers to look at is here's 10 things I should be doing next. Which one should I do now? But what tends to happen is, this is the one I've just heard about. This is the one I'm going to do now. And you need to stop and evaluate. Just spend 20 minutes listing all these things out in a spreadsheet and putting some percentage of time it's going to take and hit it's going to have, and then just doing the maths and sit there and say, right, I want the one that's going to be the one for the biggest bang for buck right now, and then keep that list for next time, but don't do the one you want to do the one that you think is going to have the biggest bang for buck, and keep a list of all those ones that you heard at a conference last week, or when there was suddenly an update that no one had heard about that suddenly gave you a new idea.
Okay. So thank you so much, Dixon. So you have shared a lot of great insight on SEO, link building, TF and CF. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to
Thanks
interview.
very much,
Thank you.
That's
Bye-bye.
great.
Take care.
Thanks. Cheers.